Back-to-back wins for the Reds and something good to talk about this week on Reds Down Under, the weekly show. Born in Liverpool but very much made in Australia. I'm joined this week by our countdown to kick-off host, Harry, as we look at the wins against Sunderland and Brighton. We look at the Konate transfer situation. We look ahead to Nottingham Forest and we play our Stoppage time trivia game. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, we've got a special with Neil Atkinson from the Anfield Rap. So do keep an eye out for that. And if you haven't already, give us a follow on social media. There's loads of content that goes up there. And we've got some pretty exciting things planned actually for the next couple of months that you won't be able to see anywhere else other than socials. Enjoy the pod.
This is the Reds Down Under podcast, the best place to follow the Reds in Australia. Enjoy the show.
We are the Reds Down Under, and this is our podcast.
Right, Harry, it's been a good week to be a Liverpool fan, mate. I think started with the win against Sunderland in the Premier League, mate, and it was a really professional performance, wasn't it?
Very professional, yeah. Something that we've missed in games this season was putting that 90-minute performance in. And look, the scoreline only shows 1-0, but to be honest, on another day, we go and get more. So really happy. Really clinical performance. Van Dijk gets a deflected header and we leave the Stadium of the Light being the only team, I believe, to have won there this season. So really good win.
I love the way you call it the Stadium of the Light. It sounds really gospel. Yeah, look, I mean, for us to be the first team this season in the Premier League anyway, to win there was really good. And, you know, I just thought it was a really steady performance, mate. You know, it was a professional performance. It was the sort of performance, actually, in many ways, we've done in Europe so far this season. We'll touch on some of the excellent moments of the game. One of the obviously disappointing ones was Endo. He started the game at right back, and we talked about it on countdown to kick off last week. I said actually I thought Curtis Jones would start there, as he did a couple of days later against Brighton in the FA Cup, mate. But that injury looks like an absolute shocker, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And it's a shame for Endo, who's had to buy his time so much in this Liverpool side. And the way he did it as well was really hard to see. I think you could sort of tell as soon as he did it that something bad was happening. But how's the bravery on the guy, by the way, to get up and defend for the next 3 minutes? That was incredible. That really showed me his mentality. But I got a feel for him because he's a player who, like I said, doesn't get many starts, comes into the side. And you know what? Up until the time he got injured, I thought he was putting in a solid shift at right back. I didn't think he put a foot wrong. And then to have a blow like that, it was the worst thing to come out of what was a great win.
Like when he went down and he got back up, and obviously we all love that, don't we? As football fans, we all love seeing a player get back up. And then when I seen the replay though, I seen his ankle underneath him, and I've been quite unfortunate when I was playing football. I did the ligaments in both ankles, and I was hoping it was that, and I'm not sure we've received confirmation on what the injury is yet.
Yeah.
But either way, it's a very serious one, and if the estimates are correct that I've been looking at today, it could be 12 weeks or more, which is obviously a killer. But he did play well. The lad, and I think two other performances I thought were fantastic on the night was Konate and Virgil van Dijk. And you know, we say we're quite famous here at Reds Down Under for getting our predictions wrong, Harry, but I got mine correct last week. Liverpool 1-0 win, clean sheet, Van Dijk from a set piece.
Honestly, me and you had quite different predictions, didn't we? You were going with the way of really tight, cagey football, and one goal would decide it. And I was it was quite opposite and very far off it. But no, honestly, I think we had a few comments on the reel we put out when you showed it. But what a prediction. And you know what? Verge has deserved that goal because he's come close from corners on occasions. But seems this year that Salah has taken a few corners this year which have been on Van Dijk's head. So I'm liking that combination. I don't like Salah on free kicks, but from the corner spot, I really like his combination with Verge, and I tell you what, he's certainly 1 from 1 compared to me on predictions on countdown and kickoff, that's for sure.
1 from 3, I think it is, H. But look, I'll absolutely take it. And obviously, we'll keep doing our predictions and our bold calls moving forward for Liverpool games in the Premier League with countdown to kick-off. One thing that I thought was actually hilarious was the Sunderland fans throwing the beach ball on the pitch as a homage to Darren Bent's goal, I think it was, that went past Pepe Reina. But look, I think one thing that has been sort of quite consistent, mate, in what, maybe the last month, is Liverpool's ability to score goals from set pieces. And, we got a free kick against Bournemouth. We got one against Karabag, I think. Manchester City, one again tonight or the other night. And I think it's just great to see. I think if you're gonna do well, I think you've got to achieve in set pieces in attack and I think defend them well as well. But I just thought it was a good performance from the Reds in general. I thought Vert had some great moments. He had a shot from outside the box, which forced a good save by the keeper, and he had that one where he sort of dropped his shoulder in the box and hit it with his left and hit the post. And that's been a consistency, mate, with Vert, hasn't it? He's dropping into that sort of inner left channel in the box and causing absolute chaos.
Yeah, he loves that, doesn't he? And his fast footwork as well is something that I want to mention because he can just glide past players. He's not the fastest of players, but his quick feet in and around the box is incredible. And I agree with you. I thought he had a really, really strong performance in this one. I thought he looked classy from the first minute. And yeah, he's just improved, hasn't he, as the season's gone on, along with a lot of players who, even Kirkes, who we doubted at the start of the season, well, not doubted, but sort of had our thoughts about, has improved. But Verts is magic. I know he's starting to come into his own now. So towards now and the back end of the season, I can't wait to see what he can produce.
I mean, I think the world's his oyster sort of thing with Florian Wirtz. I think he could genuinely do anything he wants to do in football terms. I thought one area of the field Liverpool were really strong in was the left side. I thought Andy Robertson had a really good, solid game there at left back, and that's what we're hoping for from him, to take a little bit of pressure off Kirkes so he doesn't have to play every week. And Gakpo, after disappearing last time out against Manchester City, I thought was better, and we'll talk about Brighton in the FA Cup in a minute. But I thought that Cody Gakpo was a threat in that game against Sunderland. But the Reds win. It was a must-need win for Liverpool, and that's for sure. But one of the players I was talking about there, H, in that game against Sunderland, well, two players. Virgil van Dijk was one of them, and I thought he was excellent at centre-back. And the other one was Konate, and I'd love to talk to you about his contract situation. So I know the manager's talked about it this week, that the talks are ongoing still with Konate about signing a new contract. He runs out in the summer. Where are you with Big Ebu, mate? Do you want him to stay? Do you think he will?
Do I think he will? I'm not 100% sure. I want him to 100%. I think his performances in the last 5 games or so have deserved a contract extension. And, he did have a rough patch to start the season, along with a few others. But I don't know about you, but these last 5 games have been incredible. He's grabbed himself a goal. He's really started to win a lot of duels and tackles, and he's always been good for a shirt grab here and there or something. But he was incredible in both games. I know you mentioned we'll get onto Brighton later, but he was just nailing the basics. And Sunderland, I thought he kept Brobby, I think it is, really, really quiet. But with the contract extension, I'd love to see him stay, because Van Dijk mentioned in a post-match interview, post-match as well as Slot, that it's up in the air. There's a lot of uncertainty. But I think, I'd love to see him stay whenever they come to terms.
Well, I mean, that's if they do come to terms. And I was thinking about this earlier. Obviously, we knew we wanted to chat about it on the pod this week. And for me, I'm trying to look at both sides of the story. So I'm trying to think of it from Konate's point of view. And I think the first point is that on form, he is one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League, and one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League should be getting one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League money. I think that money is clearly an obstacle in this negotiation. And the other thing was, he signed for Liverpool in 2021, so he's been at Liverpool the best part of 5 years now, and he's won all there is to win at Liverpool Football Club. And I wonder if, mate, for him, a new challenge in a new team where maybe he might be the main man might be a big opportunity for him, and something that he wants to go and do. Because I think as long as Virgil van Dijk's at the club, he's always going to be the next centre-back. And obviously we've got the new lad coming in from France, mate. Do you think that'll be having an effect on Konate's decision?
Yeah, it's a good point you mentioned, with the new signing coming in around June, I think it is, or maybe even later. But it could have an impact, I haven't really thought about it too much about how the new arrival's going to impact Konate. Yeah, it's just really tricky to decide, isn't it, what he'll make up his mind with? Because like you mentioned, you look at a player like possibly Trent, who's won everything at Liverpool and decided to embark on a new chapter at Real Madrid, and you just wonder whether he wants to finish his career in a new environment, test himself in a new country, potentially even. So yeah, that's certainly a good point. And like you mentioned, whenever Van Dijk's around, he'll be that backup centre back. But yeah, with Leone expected to come back next year as well, he could be thrown into the fray. So it's a really, really tricky one. From my perspective, I want him to stay. Do I think he'll stay is probably another story that I'm unsure of.
It'll be interesting to see how it lines up, because I mean, from a club perspective, Liverpool have just signed a new centre back, but he's only a kid. He's only 20 years of age. Leone's there, but he's only young as well. And I think if Konate was to leave, I think he would need replacing. I think when we're not in a position where those two young centre backs will be expected to partner Virgil van Dijk throughout the season, not at this point. So, Konate will be expensive to replace, and let's be honest, after losing Trent Alexander-Arnold for £10 million, it'd be disgusting for the club to lose out on a centre-back who you probably get 60, 70 million for on a free transfer. And I think these are the sort of dynamics in the conversations that are happening at the moment. But for my money, I think he's gone, but I'd be really disappointed to see him go, because I think he's shown a lot of strong mentality this season to go from pretty awful form.
Yeah.
He's lost his dad, but he is showing signs in the last month of a resurgence, and that says a lot about the lad. Let's talk about Brighton in the FA Cup.
Let's
do it.
Let's do it. It's a better time, a better week to be a Liverpool fan in general, hasn't it been? This win was huge back at Anfield, where we've really struggled. You mentioned set pieces as well earlier, Tom, and Gakpo could have had a goal inside the first 30, but that was ruled offside. So just such a clinical display. I thought the opening stages Brighton played out and beat our press quite well. They had a few chances on the break, but ultimately as the half grew on, we were so dominant, so good in possession. And that second half, it was just such free-flowing sort of football. And like you mentioned, that we've had rough weeks as Liverpool fans, but this week we saw glimpses of promise. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I seen Sky Sports, their article after the game was a return to vintage Liverpool, and I don't know if it's quite vintage Liverpool, but it was a good performance. And I was really interested, H. I mean, we talked on Countdown, not Countdown to Kickoff, on the weekly show. You and Wayne talked about it last week, and talking about the team and would he play some kids. He actually went really strong. Gravenberg was on the bench, as was Ekitike. And one thing that really struck me from looking at the team was, instead of playing the 2 6s in the midfield, it seemed quite clear to me that actually McAllister was the strong 6 in there, and Liverpool sort of went a 4-1-2-3, where Szoboszlai, although had a more defensive role, was given a lot more freedom to sort of roam and attack, get forward, as did Florian Wirtz. And I thought it was nice to see the manager changing things up a little bit. And we're so used to seeing, you know, he's generally quite rigid with the way he likes to play football. I know we tried the 4-2-2-2 a couple of times with mixed results, but I just thought it was good to see Liverpool a little bit more attacking in the midfield, more creativity in there. McAllister did a really good job sitting in. One thing that I loved to see in the game, now Liverpool play a lot of crossfield balls, but normally from the centre-back. So normally Van Dijk will play a crossfield ball, you know, ping it out there to Mo Salah. But actually there was a bit of a consistency in the game where Liverpool were playing crossfield balls winger to winger. And it really pays off in the Szoboszlai goal, because the ball's played, Van Dijk plays it into Gakpo's feet, short, and he sort of turns into the middle of the park and pings an absolute cracking ball over to Salah, who just lays it off perfectly for
Great touch.
Szoboszlai. Oh, mate. Wasn't it
Unreal.
gorgeous?
It was just the perfect weight as well. And that's not easy to do on his right foot, but that was incredible.
It's not easy to do on his left foot, but he got it right. And I think having, you know, talking about that formation, having that player, Szoboszlai, breaking the lines. And I mean, let's be honest, he makes up 30 yards out of nowhere to get there. But, you know, those crossfield balls spreading the opposition, you know, Brighton were pressing their defensive right-hand side of the pitch where Gakpo and Kerkers were, and suddenly the ball goes over to the other end. And before you know it, this gaping space on the other side of the pitch, and Szoboszlai gets into it. One thing that really upset me, Harry, and it is something I've got to talk about in all seriousness, was the guy in the seagull costume. If that was your dad, would you go with him the game again?
Not to Anfield on an away day, no way.
No way, Jose. Not to Ka-Fey, mate.
No, that was funny. And the fact they panned to him on the camera multiple times, like I think they showed him when it was 0-0, and then when we went ahead 1-0, and then, but yeah, it was funny to see.
Good, like, you know, good on him, but like, yeah. And someone in the comments, I'm really sorry to you, I can't remember who it was who commented, was like, he could have at least put a chip in his mouth to make it like a bit of comedic value, which I completely, absolutely agreed with. Mo Salah gets a pen, and I think it was the first one since Burnley in September 2025. And that's unbelievable to me, H. Like, a player who gets so much of the ball in the box, that's a long time, mate, for a player not to get a pen, I thought.
Long time between drinks, isn't it? Burnley, yeah, wow,
Yeah.
that's round 4 or 5 in the Premier League, and we play in multiple competitions. So, look, I thought the run he went on to earn the penalty was great. The little turn on the defender inside the box. I thought in general we saw a lot better signs from him in this one. And you mentioned the long switches out on the flanks, and I feel like he received a lot of ball. At times, that final product was missing, but thoroughly deserving, and that will give him a lot of confidence to get his first goal back, because, yeah, it's been a while, and especially from the penalty spot. So, and tell you what, he knows how to strike a penalty as well.
Oh, he knows how to crack a penalty, doesn't he? He knows how to crack a penalty. As does Don Szoboszlai, obviously. He missed one earlier in the season, but he's an excellent penalty taker. Liverpool brought on a couple of the kids as the game went on. Rio came on, and Traoré came on as well, didn't he? As did what's his name, the right back, who everyone wants to play every week.
Oh, Ramsey.
Ramsey, yeah. Everyone is obsessed with playing him every week. I'm yet to be convinced that he is a genuine option, a right back. But the manager brings on a couple of young players, mate, and it's important, isn't it, to get these lads in the team as early as possible and give them a fair chance.
Very crucial. I thought we'd actually play a few from the start, and that obviously wasn't the case, but it's good to give him minutes. And Rio obviously has his goal called offside, which 50-50. I know all the members at Ka-Fey in Newcastle weren't too happy about this decision, because we would have liked a 4-0 scoreline, but even Naoni, I've been impressed with him when he's had little cameos off the bench. So crucial for those two. Ramsey didn't have to do a whole lot when he come on, did he? But you know what? We keep progressing in the FA Cup, Champions League, and then, bodies start to get tired in terms of the Premier League. These young guns are going to get more minutes, especially Rio. And it's vital that we keep giving them minutes, and especially Rio, there's times this season where I thought he should have started more often, but comes on and scores a goal. And I've always said it on other podcasts as well, that he always loves to beat his first defender. He wants to run at players. So certainly positive, and good that we were able to bring them on and rest a few key players as well.
Yeah, one thing I've said, and I've been in the comments on other people's posts is, I think there's been a lot of criticism directed at the manager about not playing the kids in more games, and I've said it myself on this podcast, saying, especially when we're going through a really dire spell, I said, try and give the kids a go, and they're lighter mentally, they haven't got these worries, they just want to go out and play football and have a kick. But I think what's happened this season is because Liverpool have been in so many tight games, really tight games we've won and games we've lost as well. It's really difficult for the manager in those games to bring on a younger player, and I get that from a managerial point of view. If you've got, and I love young Rio, I think he's got a big future, but I'm trying to think of it from the manager's perspective, and if he's looking at it and he goes, well, I've got Cozy Gakpo and he's won this, and this, and scored this many goals, and I've got Rio on the bench, well, I'm going to try and keep Gakpo on the pitch as long as I can, because the history says he's got the best chance of putting it in the back of the net. But yeah, it was nice to see some of the kids getting a game in the FA Cup, and we don't know yet who Liverpool will face in the next round of the FA Cup. I think they're they're going to put it out today when we record on Monday, so we won't get to see it. But do you think Liverpool can genuinely have a crack at this trophy, mate? It was a good performance, and there's no reason not to be confident, is there?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think Arnie Slot mentioned a lot over the last few weeks, probably ever since maybe the Arsenal game away, that the performances are slowly getting better, and he thinks that we're playing better without the ball as well as with the ball. Like we haven't, we didn't really look troubled against Brighton in some aspects. I know they're not the best of outfits, but they still had threats, and yeah, it's certainly a chance for us to take this competition on it and give it a crack. Talking to Max as well at Ka-Fey, and then he believes that we have strong hopes to go deep. I think it's going to depend on how it ties in with the Champions League and Premier League, because some clubs at the minute, including Arsenal, are playing 2 games-ish a week. But as long as we can keep a lot more, like we don't get any more players injured, we certainly can give this shot a competition a crack, that's for sure.
Why not? And I was looking at the upcoming schedule there, and for the next couple of weeks, we only play 1 game a week.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think it's good for lads like Joey Gomez and hopefully get Frimpong back, and Vert has played a lot of minutes, Sobersline's played a lot of minutes. They've all played a lot of minutes, really, haven't they? So playing 1 game a week is going to give the manager a little bit more time on the training field for sure. And look, these performances are improving. I'm not getting too excited yet, but why be negative? Why be negative? Right, we're going to do our trivia game Stoppage time in just a minute, H. But before we do that, I've got a couple of bits of info for people. So this week, Jack and I recorded a podcast with Neil Atkinson from the Anfield Wrap. So we asked the people's questions. People sent them in for Neil. So we asked those questions. We asked some of our questions. And it's not really a podcast about what's happening with the Reds now, but it's just a podcast about how the Anfield Wrap started. His thoughts on what the Liverpool way is, which would be interesting for people to listen to. We talk about transfer policy, like we really get into it with Neil, so that's special. Will be coming out in a couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for that. And I'll tell you what, on next week's podcast, I'll give you guys a little teaser for that as well, so keep an eye out. As ever, thank you to our venue partners, Cheers Bar in Sydney. You're great, you look after us, and we're chatting with Vanessa there about more exciting stuff that we can do with you. Ka-Fey in Newcastle. Harry was saying he was there this morning.
I was there for the Brighton game. Yeah, good turnout. There's not many morning games to go, I believe, unless we progress far in the Champions League. But honestly, shout out to Julian and the crew. It's great.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely fantastic. They're a massive, massive Red. So if you're in that area, if you're in Sydney, you're in Newcastle, you know where to go. Also, the L-Files, as ever, our assistant producer Wayne runs that. Liverpool Australia. It's been going for 28 years, I think.
Yeah,
which
wow.
is crazy. Yeah, that's like 26, 27 years older than what Harry is. Yeah, so obviously you can see all our stuff on there, and we love them very much. And the Fields of Anfield Road site, so that's FOAR site.com. They're based in America, and they do match day sort of blogs and things like that, and we're available on there. So thanks for supporting us. And the last little bit of business, Harry, before we go on to stoppage time, is for the next couple of weeks, I'm really trying to get some more guests on from Australia.
Yep.
So I'm chatting to people at the moment to try and line that up. So if I've reached out to you, then stay with me because we'll get you on in the next couple of weeks. And Jack was meant to be doing this podcast today. People have said to me that we've sacked Jack. We have not sacked Jack, is the truth. But I can tell you that today he was unavailable because of other
Exciting
news. Yeah, so he was unavailable for that. So Harry graciously stepped in. Right, young Harry, let's play stoppage time. This is a game where I give Harry 30 seconds. I give him a question and he has to name as many as he can.
Pressure's on.
Pressure's on. I seen you do this with Wayne last week.
See, it was an interesting one, that. It's good. It was actually a really interesting question, a really tricky one to answer, but he did okay. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, how did you find it? The old man and the young man together, eh?
No, look, he was good. He's got a lot of knowledge and in-depth news around all things Liverpool. Speaks really well, but I think I'm trying to get better at my trivia, so that's my aim, to beat his score from last week.
He's good. He's very, very knowledgeable, this guy. And I tell you what, he knows his gravy about Liverpool Football Club. Right. Are you ready for the question, Harry? I'm going to put 30 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, go on.
After I ask the question. In the Premier League...
Oh, God.
In the Premier League era, there's been 8 players who've played for Liverpool and Chelsea. In 30 seconds...
Oh, far out.
Name them all. Start the clock.
Liverpool and Chelsea. Oh, God. Did Fernando Torres play for Chelsea?
He did. There's one.
Chelsea and Liverpool. Oh, I'm lost.
Come on, I'll give you some clues. Think of a winger plays for Liverpool now.
Winger? Oh, Salah. Yep. Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, Salah too.
Oh, you made a short cameo. I'm lost.
All right. I think that's us 30 up, mate. Not so. I thought you'd get more of these. I'll be honest.
Yeah, tricky question, but
well, let's see the other answers and let us know in the comments how many you got right, Reds. So obviously Fernando Torres, you got that one right.
Yeah.
He moved to Chelsea for £50 million, and it was a big deal at the time. Jack was heartbroken and tore down his Fernando Torres poster off the wall. Raul Morales?
Nope, don't know.
Daniel Sturridge?
Sturridge played for Chelsea?
Yeah, we signed him from there.
Yeah.
Nicolas Anelka? He played for Liverpool, and then years later he went to Chelsea. Yoshi Benayoun went from Liverpool to Chelsea before he moved on to Arsenal. Mo Salah, you got. Joe Cole?
Nah,
No,
my knowledge this far back is not great.
and Glenn Johnson. All right, well there you go. That was stoppage time. Not great this time for Harry, but there's always next week. Now Liverpool next in the Premier League may play Nottingham Forest, and we'll we're going to do an in-depth look at this in our countdown to kick off, our sort of game day podcast that we're bringing out. They're only about 10-12 minutes. And the idea is that it's the perfect build-up for you to watch as a Liverpool fan, because in Australia anyway, because Stan Sport simply don't do it. Harry, Nottingham Forest, mate, tough game. They've got a new manager, and sometimes that goes against you, doesn't it?
Yeah, they've had a lot of changes on and off the field, and this will be a tricky test. I'm more confident now, if you asked me a few weeks ago, but I think we're starting to play some good football, and I believe that we can go there and get the job done. But you never know. Like you said, new manager can bring success. He can start off on a bad way. So, look, I think they've got. I think it might be Fenerbahce or someone on Friday morning in the Europa League, I believe. So they've got a game before Liverpool at home. So that could play into the hands, but ultimately we've got a job to do. We've got to hunt down that top four. United and Chelsea, are starting to play some good football in themselves. So we need to keep the pressure on them.
Yeah, I think it's a game Liverpool should go and win, no doubt. I think we should go and beat them, but you never know. Sometimes when a team get a new manager, it goes the other way. But they've had so many different philosophies in that football club over the last sort of 18 months. The players have been pulled from pillar to post, so it'll be interesting to see what the new manager does. But we'll get into that on countdown to kick off. So that game's a Monday morning, is it, H? Liverpool?
Yeah, the early hours of Monday morning, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll release countdown to kick off first thing on Sunday morning, so you've got a full day to watch it. But if you're like me, what I did the other week was, just before I watched the Liverpool game, I watched countdown to kick off, even though it was me talking.
It's always good to watch yourself back.
Yeah, it's good. And you're the host of that one, so it's I mean, it's still pretty it's okay to love yourself. It's okay to love yourself.
Well, I'll tell you what, your prediction was right, so it's worth looking back on that.
Yeah, my prediction was right, Reds. And I want to acknowledge as well, before we leave today, is the fact I am wearing a West Tigers rugby league cap, because that is my rugby league team, and the NRL is kicking off very soon.
Very soon.
And if people are wondering why I support West Tigers, it's because when I first came to Sydney, I was in the pub, and the local pub, and I was having a beer, and I was watching a game. I think it was Tigers versus, I think it was Roosters, someone like that. Anyway, and the guy next to me was like, "Are you going for Tigers?" And I was like, "Oh no, I was going to go for Roosters." And he was like, "Oh, well, this is a Tigers pub." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll support the Tigers then." And since that moment, it's been nothing but hearty. But let's hope the Tigers get up this season. Definitely in the top 8.
Yeah, surely.
Surely. Well, Reds, look, that's what we've got time for this week. It's been a nice little short one, actually, Harry, about 35 minutes, I think, mate.
Has been good.
We've been in and out tonight. And one thing I want to say to people is, we say it every week now, message a mate, reach out to a friend who you haven't spoke to, or maybe that is going through a bit of a tough time. We all have moments like that. So reaching out to a pal and saying how you're going could absolutely change their day. So please do that. And of course, look out for Harry on Countdown to Kick Off this Sunday. I'll be his guest this week, but he will have other guests coming up in future weeks. Harry, mate, thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Tom. Always a pleasure. And hopefully my stoppage time can improve, but that wasn't one to look back on. But as always, thanks for having me.
Up the Reds, mate.
Up the Reds.